guys? It's Black Spring with Autumn on your Monday afternoon slash evening. It's probably so close to evening that you might just go ahead and say, hey, it's Black Spring, it's evening. You can say it. But yes, it is certainly evening, and it has been a. This Monday, it seems like I felt every single inch of a Monday. But I hope you guys are doing well out there. Um, Not really coming in with a lot right now. I'm just looking at just one liner. And this would be that I would look at it with you, of course, I would. So yeah, but it's kind of like here again, it's like a more of an echo chamber. We find ourselves in echo chambers because I've said this before that we have a bit of a things the way things season and cycle. Like with most things that we've looked at, we've already covered them. It seems like once upon a time, didn't we have this conversation? Good afternoon. Good evening, Marcy. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. But this piece that I'm looking at right now, this piece is a Breitbart piece regarding job prospects for 2026 college grads to hit a 5-year low while employers eye AI foreign labor. But that's not really super news to us because not too long ago we cross referenced a piece that came out of Breitbart as well regarding India drafting bills to accelerate Indian migration into U.S. jobs. So I, I just our system just seems to be it's not really efficient and it's not really hitting. Dare I say it's not hitting the targets. Okay. Um, this talks about the outlook for the college graduating class of 2026 has dimmed sharply as data shows employees' hiring plans have stalled, job market ratings have slipped, and the workforce competition has intensified due to automation and visa based labor programs. So, this piece comes from, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal, based on data from the National Association of College and Employers. That's NACE to you and I. The employers project the job market for 2026 graduates will be the weakest in half a decade. So this data, basically a survey conducted among 183 companies between August 7th and September 22nd, found that 51% of respondents rated the job market for new graduates as poor or fair, a sentiment not seen at this level since COVID-19 era downturn in 2020 and 2021. Only 2% of employees rated the market as, quote, excellent, end quote. Okay. So of course, this comes out of Breitbart, and it just shows that the hiring slowdown follows a wave of large scale layoffs from major employees, including Amazon, UPS, and Verizon. All of these that we've discussed on here weeks ago. The latter reportedly preparing to cut. So Verizon, I guess, is preparing to cut 15,000 jobs, its largest workforce reduction ever. And then it goes on. Thank you guys for coming in and loving on the like button. I really appreciate it. While overall hiring for 2026 graduates is technically expected to increase by 1.6%, that marks a steep drop from earlier projections for the class of 2025. Historical trends show that spring hiring often falls short of earlier fall estimates. The divergence is reflected in NACE's year-over-year hiring projections from a near 30% jump in 2022 spring plans compared to 2021. The projections have since plummeted, including a contraction for the class of 2024. So, they're dropping there's a lot of data in this particular, they're dropping a lot of numbers, but at the same time, things were already slowing down. Hi, Gary Gage 104. I noticed I didn't call you gargoyle. I didn't refer to you as gargoyle today. So we will say, hey, that's a win right there, right? Hope you do well. Thanks so much for coming in and loving on the like button. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you a couple of more lines in here, but this is just a lot of data. You know, you have the H1B one, the H1B, the H1B program. You have that for sure. Said according to this, the data from the job platform Handshake, the full-time job postings in August dropped over 16% year over year, while applications per job rose 26%. Over 60% of 2026 graduates surveyed report pessimism about their career outlooks. Former recruiters Giovanna Vega, who was laid off from Automation Anywhere in 2023, said companies, quote, don't know where to invest amid AI uncertainty and tariffs. Quote, they don't have the training, end quote, she remarked about recent graduates, many of whom are being passed over for roles that are increasingly filled by laid off mid-career professionals. So, hi, Watchmen. You're in the stormy streets. Okay, well, be careful out there in the OC. Good to see you there. So, thank you guys so much for coming in and loving on that like button. So, you know, it's funny that we get reports like this, but I don't even think our Department of Labor is even discussing what the job market looks like. I don't think that they're doing that. Okay. So I don't see any of this data from the from the DOL or that kind of a bit. I don't see that. Marcy says there may be jobs posted, but they're not real. In other words, they're not hiring. I gotcha. Because, you know, you guys remember during COVID, like right after COVID, there were a lot of people, there were a lot of jobs, a lot of hiring signs all over the place. And many people were saying, you know, no, not exactly. Hi, Latressa Montgomery 7932. Thanks so much for coming back this time of the day. It's been a long day. And I appreciate you guys per usual. But you have people that are overqualified for positions, and that's an issue that came up a long time ago. Hi, it's Stephen Williams 4778. Thank you guys so much for coming in and loving on that like button. And as I say all the time, if you really, really, really want to throw some caution to the wind, you just hit that share button, you know. Hit that share button and see, you know, and it's a golden reaction. So Gary Gage 104 says gargoyles chase away the demons. There we go. That's what we need. Thank you guys for loving on the like button. You know, it matters. The like button, double tap it, love on it. Yeah. It makes a difference. So what I'm on about is that I'm not surprised, because you do have these H1B programs. You do have an administration who is, you know, what was it at one point? I'm not sure if it's still the same. 100K is what they wanted to exact on incoming, the foreigners, the applicants or whatnot. And it diverted, I think there was a diversion at a short period of time, but India has actually spoken out about that actual 100K. So I think their way to counter that is what they've come up with, this the Overseas Mobility Bill. We've talked about this before. This will help the Indian government train its young people amid recommendations from foreign companies, negotiate labor deals with foreign governments, and help bind overseas Indians to their home countries, according to the English language Deccan Herald newspaper. So, you know, I think that, you know, they're doing what they need to do. I appreciate you guys once again for loving on the like button. And according to this, the law will include a, quote, overseas placement agency regime, mandatory e-immigrant registrations for Indians traveling abroad, competitive recruitment processes, and establishing the Indian city of Mumbai as the global mobility hub, said an Association of Indian Migrant Groups. So according to this Indian bill comes amid a growing realization in the United States about the scale and damage of India's transfer of self-serving Indian migrants into American society. And then so, you know, but this is not new, okay? But at the same time, I just don't think the way that I don't think the way that our systems are set up, I don't even want to say that they're antiquated. I just don't think that we're reaching. We're not. Our education system needs, it needs a second look. Many of our institutions are just not, they've kind of crumbled, or you're just not, because I will be honest, there's certain demographics of people that have come to this country, and they've always outperformed, or high functioning is the word that you might even hear somebody use to a student coming into the public school system from a foreign country, whether they come from China, India, wherever they come from. They'll say, "Oh, this student's high functioning." Um, but also, I also think that deals with, comes from family as well. Like, they're just, like I said, I've said this before. I've seen people live in other countries, whether people might want to refer to them as third world countries. They live with a lot less. They're a lot happier with a lot less. They have a lot less and they're happier. And they actually have a skill or a trade, or even just their values, I think, are putting them, just their value, their family structure, all of it, to me, kind of works together. Um, so I'm not sure where we're going, but I don't think that the American college system is the exact way that you're going to be. I don't think you're going to be competitive from that angle. And I really don't think that the top people that are going to get these Fortune 500 jobs, uh, they're not. I don't think most of these people are going to come out of the average college system. I just don't. I don't think so. They're not going to be, even the MITs and some of the other institutions. I just don't think that they're what does their data say? I don't know. But the average college program, I'm just thinking it's not really holding a candle to people that are coming out of some of these other nations. It's just not. Marcy says, none of us are going to be competitive in a minute when this AI. No, you're right. Because when you're talking about analytical jobs, or you need to process some data really quickly, or you need to put some things together really quickly, AI does that in the fraction. It does that in the fraction of the time that it takes a human being to do it. I mean, I just don't. I don't even think you could draw. I don't even think you can sketch it out as fast as AI. I don't. But I'm just looking at these. Let me see. So I'm getting. There's a lot of data in here, but I don't know that colleges. A lot of people have already said, if they had to go back and do it again, they probably wouldn't do. They wouldn't do the career the way use the same path to get to where they are. Because I'm going to be honest, I'll tell you guys, I believe in private lessons. I believe in uh, apprenticeships. I believe in that kind of one-on-one, hands-on kind of training. I believe in that more. And honestly, I think I probably would save some money myself had that been my approach. Because most of the experiences, because to me, I think people that are really great communicators, some people are, I think that there's just kind of an assumption that if a person can can perform something, that they can actually teach it, and vice versa. And I don't really think that that's true. I think that great communicators are the better teachers, are the better apprentice or artisan kind of teachers. I don't. But honestly, I think if I should have foregone. I was like, you know what? I didn't need to go. I didn't need to go to college for 4 years to do that. All I needed to do was to work with this one person, or work in that industry, with those same people. I'm talking about. I've had some, you know, I've worked with some world class. Worked with just my last program. I worked with. It's like I ended up paying for working with world class professionals, but they're at the same time, it's like, well, I didn't really need to go to college to get, because a lot of the world-class professionals, they're not always in academia. They're not always in that community, or that community is a very small portion of their profession. Some of them like to teach, some of them don't. Some people can teach, some people are not. Some people are not great teachers. They might be great performers, and they might be great whatever it is. Maybe great artisans, they might be great. But even in other industries, I find that, great communicators are the best. Great communicators are the best instructors for me. I don't need the 4-year institution. And I've seen people that don't take on all that 4-year, that whole profile, and they're able to do equal or better. And in many cases, I think they do better, because it's like you pay for that college experience. And I think you pay more for the experience than the return. At the end of the day, you're still going to pay more for that experience than what you're going to yield when you actually join the workforce. Or I've heard other people say, "Oh, do this, just hire somebody to teach you X, Y, and Z." And I think that's much more effective than an actual 4-year program or a college program. I don't know. That's my experience. But college is an industry. It's a moneymaker. With all the shortages and all these different industries, they have not reduced anything. You're not getting any breaks. In fact, tuition and those room and board type conversations have gotten worse. And they're only going to get worse. Worst. Yikes. Good evening to you. Realize. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys so much for coming in here and loving on that like button. Because I even I had some friends that ended up getting PhDs and DMAs, and they ended up going to the military, because here you went as high as you can go, and then you still ended up, the job market was just not, you can't, you're not doing what you need to do. You're not getting where you need to be. So I'm not surprised. Well, I'm really on a struggle bus today. But so here again, we're talking about the rising scrutiny of visa programs such as the H-1B, and the optional practical training has enabled hundreds of thousands of foreign graduates to work in U.S. jobs originally intended for American college students. Now, the Department of Justice, DOJ, under Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon, has pledged increased enforcement of long-standing visa-related laws to curb what officials describe as the systemic replacement of domestic talent. Eric Sell, a senior lawyer at the DOJ Civil Rights Division, emphasized that the administration is determined to hold companies accountable for how they treat American workers, especially during periods of economic upheaval and rapid technological change. He stressed that under President Donald Trump's leadership, technological advancement would, quote, never be used as an excuse to forget the workers that built this country, end quote. And he warned that those attempting to exploit chaotic growth for corporate gain, quote, will be held accountable. So it goes on to talk about the public frustration has been intensifying. A new Signal poll finds that 44% of likely voters say companies exploit the H-1B system. Among swing voters, 43% agree with that assessment. Notably, the backlash against these visa programs is strongest among working class Americans and voters without a college degree, key electoral constituencies ahead of the 2026 midterms. So, we'll probably see a whole lot of, bag of tricks that'll come out before then, because that's all they can think about right now. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one off. Realize I'm coming right to your comment. Just 1 second. In 2024 alone, the Biden administration approved work permits for approximately 400,000 foreign college graduates through the Optical Practical Training Program, a 45% increase over from 2020 levels under President Trump. Former U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director Jay Edlow and other Trump administration officials have warned that programs like OPT are depressing wages and displacing American graduates, particularly in high demand STEM and business fields. Let's see. Okay, so we're almost done here. The pipeline from foreign students to U.S. worker also begins at the admissions level. Breitbart News opinion contributor Rich Kay questioned why taxpayer-funded public universities are increasingly filling seats with international students who later convert F1 student visas into work permits. Quote, when a public university replaces a Georgia student with an F1 visa student in a high demand field, end quote, Kay wrote, quote, it increases the pipeline pressure tomorrow for H-1B allocations in exactly the sectors where Americans could be trained to fill roles, end quote. And for the last piece on here, that pressure is already being felt by recent graduates like Nayland Haley, who told Unheard that many in his peer group are struggling just to get started. Quote, it's been a year and a half, and not one of them has a job. Not one, end quote, he stated. Quote, I'm angry at that because I'm having to try and help my friends get jobs when their parents got jobs immediately, not just after graduating college, but out of high school, end quote. So, I don't, I mean, we can see the writing on the wall. You know, like I said, I don't think this is not a 5-year. They are touting like a 5-year lows. I think it started before then. So really, they're kind of going all the way back to 5 years ago. We're talking 2019, right? 2019-ish. Okay, so let's go to realize. She says the American dream has become an American nightmare. You have to be asleep for it to be reality, per George Carlin. We're not a part of that club. No, we're not. But the only other option is to be a part of the dialects. The only other option they kind of push, is if you're not going to be a part of that the government is behind, then you're also not going to get that edge either. I don't think it's going to be, I can't see the whole college scene getting any better. I can see it getting more expensive, and I can see more people coming out, or maybe fewer people coming out, with kind of superficial, you just got a degree. They'll take your money. Let me just put it down here. They'll take your money. They will take your money. But when it comes to job programs or recruitment programs or programs for graduating seniors and that kind of a bit, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Especially when you're talking about technology and some of these sciences. I mean, you're really going to have to be. And that's why I get frustrated with people who get mired down into too much, into the group think kind of a thing, because essentially you were already competing against the entire world to begin with. But you really have to be, when you're not working on something, somebody else is. And that's, to me, that's the competitive, I guess that's kind of like the competitive in me, or the competitor. So, you can't, or either, I just think that culturally we're just not, our values in this country are just so, we've outsourced everything. We've been brainwashed and been just everything that these celebrities or that these stars do. I mean, if you just look at it, the average, most people, their kids can't even have a conversation. They can't even have a conversation with, it's really sad. They can't really have a conversation with just about anybody. They can't hold a conversation. Yeah, it's like, okay, so NZ Suga. APAC money needs to stop. Let me back it up a little bit. Latressa PhDs, what they cost about 100,000. I would imagine so. Latressa Montgomery 7932, if not more. If not more at this point. To me, that's what they were costing. I think that's what they were costing like almost 10 years ago. I think they're probably cost more than that now. I think they, you know, because colleges are big businesses. They're big businesses. They're not going to, you know, no, they're not educating people for the sake of educating. No, that's not what they do. They're in the business of making money. Um, yeah, that's what they are. I mean, to be honest, you got a lot of college professors with student loan debt. I mean, I'll tell you for one, you have a lot of college professors that are adjunct in adjunct positions, which is great for your resume, but there's no adjunct grocery store. And I've said that before. I've said that before. I mean, I've got a lot of different experiences, but I mean, nobody wants to work 500 adjunct positions. Nobody wants to go and work at the Lighthouse College and then drive down the street and work at the Bay House College. And then in 2 hours and then 4 hours later, you're due at the community college in 5 hours. And you're working at 3 or 4 colleges trying to build a salary together off of 3 or 4 adjunct jobs. Nobody wants to do that, but it's a reality depending on what you're in, because a lot of other professions aren't really making. Everybody's trying to clean up wherever they can. Okay? They don't care if they already have a full-time gig that's paying them close to six figures. They're coming over to get some of that adjunct assist money. Yes, they are. And can you blame them for it? I don't know. But at the same time, they're not trying to leave anything on the table. Let's see. Realize Watchman says, I'm just trying to back up here. I'm trying to keep up here. But yeah, I cannot justify because a lot of even your college professorship jobs, the starting pay, I think the starting pay about 15 years ago might have been 40 something $1,000. But here you just went and racked up $100,000 just for that PhD or that DMA or whatever. You just racked it up, but your salary is only 40 something $1,000. I mean, you would have to be, and you have to keep your publishing chops up at the same time. It's not going to stop because the college has demands for you. That community has demands for you. All right, so let's go to Gary Gage. Gary says, remember back in 2011, Disney replaced 60% of their workforce with H-1B workers in order to receive their severance package they had to train their replacement. Seems like I do remember something like that. Let me keep going here. But yeah, it's kind of brutal. I mean, but they still have these demands. They say, if you want to teach college, you need to have at least 18 hours of blah, 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 blah. Okay? You got to get that. You got to get that extra degree to be in a part of that community. Okay? And then if you get a PhD, then you're going to have to publish every so often just to be in that, that's what you have to do. So, the demands aren't going to change. But it's also not going to get any cheaper. I think that's what my bottom line is. But as for the class of 2026, hey, unless they've been living under a rock out here, I know they've been watching social media. I know they've been hearing other people saying things about that they call it the bachelor's degree is the new. I've heard everything from the bachelor's degree is the new high school diploma. I've heard that as well. But see, the other issue is that you have a lot of these A lot of these areas are oversaturated. They're oversat. You got a lot of people that are holding degrees. You got degree holders. You do. A lot of degree holders. But to me, you know, does that make a great candidate? No. No, it doesn't. I'm just thinking it's kind of in 5 years, who knows what the situation is going to look like. I who knows? Who knows? Marcy T says, well, there's a bunch of non-graduates then. Marcy T says, most people are on high school diploma then. Are you in high school diploma? Yeah, and then some people have done really well with bachelor's degrees. They can go and work for a they can go work for a hospital and get, like, if you're an engineer, like chemical engineering, you could probably go work for a company and make great money. I mean, say for instance, back in 2010, I knew somebody that was making about 80,000 a year, but he also had stock options, and he had stock options. He also had he also worked from home. I mean, at that particular time, I guess that was okay, but still wasn't where he wanted to be. But at that particular time, before it was all done, I mean, he had great bonuses. He had great sales, like it was sales. Yeah, he made a lot of money off of sales. And then most people, Marcy T says, most people don't hold a bachelor degree. She says that the bachelor degree is the new standard. Most people don't. Well, we'll find out. Marcy said, when I got my bachelor's degree, I was poorer than I have ever been. Samoan Watchman says, I dropped out of college and make 100K. You need the drive and skills. There you go. And lots of prayer. Yep. I mean, hey, I'm gonna tell you this. It doesn't take long to rack up $100,000. It doesn't take long to rack that up. Not at a college, it doesn't. No. Especially if you're going into advanced degrees. If you're going for the masters, or you're going for the PhDs and all that, it doesn't take long to rack that up. Especially if you're going, dare I say, I'm not even say like Ivy League or private colleges. It just doesn't take long, because the master's programs are already, your advanced degree programs are already marked up. And then if you go to some of these schools, like if you go to some of the schools on the Eastern Seaboard, or Ivy League schools, or I have plenty of professors complaining about the student loan debt that they had at the CSUs. And they came from back east. Yeah, they came from back east. Realize says, my cousin graduated top of her class, full ride scholarships for Purdue University, mechanical and electrical engineering, very intelligent, but clueless to this reality we're living in. And Watchman says, respect to plumbers. Yes, I'm a germaphobe. Marcy says, I know a blue collar man like plumbers, and they made hundreds of thousands. Yes, yeah. So I don't know. You just have to figure out what you just, I don't know. I don't know what, I'm gonna be honest. I think that everything is going to shift. I think a lot of things are going to shift very soon. They're not going to stay I just think that there's going to be some obsolescence. They're going to let you go out. They're going to take your money. Oh yeah. You want to go to college? Yeah, we'll take your money. Yeah, we'll take you want to get a master's? Well, we'll take your money. And that's exactly what they're going to do. LaTressa Montgomery 7932 says that's a scam. Yep. Well, I'm so serious. Like, I mean, I realize says there is a shortage of plumbers, electricians, and the mechanical workers. Absolutely. Because, I think everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people go out here, and there's also a shortage of, there's been a shortage of doctors for a long time as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I would say it's gonna be all the way for the next 4 or 5 years. It's only gonna get worse. I mean, it's only gonna get worse, unfortunately. So we have to find another way, another day, another way. Marcy says my son's an electrician. Yeah, like the trade schools. I mean, I think we have fewer trade schools. Realize says I spoke to two recently this generation and is not into the dirty jobs. Plumbers, that is. Marcy T says, I wish I would have been an electrician instead of a nurse. Say, Marcy, I know it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I know what you're on about. But yeah, just you gotta give guidance wherever you can. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, unless, like, I don't even know, like, now they're offering, now I'm seeing people offering master's degrees with a side of AI. Can I get a master's degree with a side of AI? With a sidekick of AI? I don't know. I don't know. Marcy says I couldn't be a plumber. I got you. Well, I just want to let you guys, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and loving on the like button. And loving on the like button at a 6:08 p.m. And I'm not sure where you are, but maybe it's actually maybe it's actually 7:08 where you are, or Samoans 4:08 in the OC out there. I appreciate it. So let me go through and say hi to everybody, and then I'm gonna get out of here. But yeah, I just wanted to come in with that little nugget. Let's see. Marcy T, of course, of all. Thank you so much for coming in. Gary Gage 104, not gargoyles. Gargoyles. Watchman, of course, thank you so much for coming in. And we do have Stephen Williams 4778. Thank you for coming in. Realize. I appreciate your support. Thank you. LaTressa Montgomery 7932. I think it's the American scream. Shout out to Realize. I think this is more of a scream right about now. I think we've been dreaming too long. Let's see. I think John Roberts, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming in and loving on the like button. I really appreciate it. And I think that'll catch us all up for this evening. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate the loving on the like button and all of that. Can't spell laziness without AI. Let's see. A gargle 10. I said it. I said I manifested it. I said Gargoyle 104. He says, now I want to change my name to not Gargoyles. Hey, it's me. Realize says AI is their way to go, not mine. It's just too much. But what's there? But where we're headed? Yeah, I don't know. But hang in there, guys, for sure. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and I will check back with you guys tomorrow. I will certainly check back with you guys tomorrow, and I support you guys, and thank you for supporting me. You guys can always drop your links in the stream as well on this 6/11 at on the Monday, November 17th. So drop your links in if you would like. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. I'll probably drop in tomorrow. I may have a little bit more, something more structured for you. Maybe an update on. I think people are still, buzzing about that $2,000 tariff dividend. It's not happening this year, folks. Look at the year. Look at the year. How much time do you have left? No. All right, guys. In the meantime, I will see you later. And I will probably see you guys back tomorrow. All right, guys. Bye for now.